great talent. Minshew's giving him his credit. He's seen great quarterbacks. He was just with Jalen Hurts, so that's a good compliment from that standpoint. But really, I don't think you have anything to lose. And as a GM and an ownership, I want to see what he has to offer to us and what we can do with him and create something special from that standpoint. And really, the run game and their total offense is running through Taylor most of the time. So he has going to have an opportunity in people keying Taylor and then coming to him from that standpoint.
You know, and Dominic, he started 13 games since he left high school in Gainesville, Florida. He just doesn't have experience. And he's not going to gain any experience by watching Gardner Minshew throw the football. He's just not. He's got to play. And I think it's a little different with Anthony Richardson because of his ability. Like his ability, he's going to give defenses problems with his ability to run, his speed, getting out on the perimeter and putting defenses in compromising positions.
Josh Harris expected to be the new owner along with several of his partners of the Washington Commanders for the price of $6.05 billion. Dan Snyder finally selling. They have a deal. It is signed. It is exclusive. It is not a matter of if. It is simply a matter of when. Just because the Finance Committee has not yet received the final version of this as of today. The hope was that they will soon, but it has not happened yet. The Finance Committee needs to bless it. Then 24 of 32 owners needs to bless it as well. It is a big deal, the biggest ownership deal the NFL has ever done. It is a sprawling deal. They want to make sure everything is perfect before it is voted on. So, no, not in Minnesota. However, I would expect similar to what happened with the Denver Broncos, perhaps maybe around the time of training camp, might get a special league meeting to finalize this deal.
Yeah, when it's something of this magnitude, all the due diligence takes just a little longer. All right, Ian Rapoport, thank you for that update. Coming up on NFL Total Access, an education on the ink. Then we can fast forward to every year the rookies getting into preseason and having their welcome to the league moment. So you've gone up against quite a few rookie quarterbacks before. How do you defend against a young guy coming in like Bryce Young?
I think it's very simple. You try and speed up their process. There's one of those guys that you want him to be thinking at all particular point in time and forcing him to really just be in chaos.
Right.
If you can get him off chaos and keep him in that way, that is the way you want to attack. And as me as a defense lineman, I am salivating to go against a young guy. I can't wait to see him, especially on a week one opportunity.
And, of course, his stature, his size was such a huge part of the discussion. And there are comps, for example, for Drew Brees. There are ways that you can affect the guys who are not as big as the other quarterbacks.
Yeah, he reminds me of a Drew Brees, as you mentioned. And he's one of those guys that I think a lot of pressure up the middle and really just getting him off his spot. And it's tough for a guy like that, especially when it comes to passing lanes. You want to affect it and get his offensive lineman on their heels on his feet. So he has to scramble and try and get out and make plays with his feet. And then you guys just rally to the ball from there.
Does the offensive line block differently in these scenarios?
Yeah, without question. I think offensive line definitely wants to create a shield for him, especially up in the between the center and the two guards, just to protect him, and then obviously let people come around the edge, and then he can sneak out.
Postseason, Jonathan Taylor is back healthy. Like, he's going to complement the strengths of this team right now, and what he needs is he needs to play. And if he struggles, so be it. Like, let him learn and grow through those struggles. They won't last forever if he's the right guy. If he's the right guy, he'll learn from it. He'll get better from it.
I think there's no one more ready to prove what he can do than Anthony Richardson himself. I agree. I think get out there, get the bumps and bruises, get it out of the way now so you can start building for the long term with this guy. All right, let's catch you up on what's going on across the league. A little rap sheet time. Ian Rapoport joining us now. All right, Ian, so the spring league meetings, they kick off on Monday. The Commanders still, though, making a great impression. Now, Panthers QB coach Josh McCown, he gave thoughts on the young quarterback today.
It's been good. He's been great. He is a worker. He loves to be around it. And, he's probably not up to date on all the things of the CBA, but he wants to be a part of it as much as he can be. Every time we step into a meeting with him, it's clear that he's taken the material, whatever was presented the day before, he's taken that and he's spent time with it at home. And he's digested it, and he comes with questions, and that's what a pro does. He comes with questions. He's got great questions, very insightful. A lot of times you
were with the Panthers throughout the draft, so you've talked to so many people in the building and even across the league. What have you gleaned about the Panthers going into this Bryce Young era?
Yeah, MJ, Panthers offensive coordinator Thomas Brown told me this week that Bryce Young is looking really good so far. He said as good as advertised after they saw him in rookie minicamp so far. And Coach Frank Reich made clear that, look, Bryce Young, he's going to be the number 2 quarterback behind Andy Dalton when they start OTAs next week. But Brown also added that Bryce Young's going to get some first-team reps. And from talking with people here in Carolina, although they want Bryce to earn that job, I would be surprised if he is not that week 1 starter. Look, Bryce has made it clear he's not entitled to anything being the top pick, but they've also seen the recall that he's already shown for plays, the ability for him not to get rattled. You heard Ndamukong talk about you want to get a rookie quarterback rattled. What they love about Bryce is that he's always stood out. And so one thing to watch.
At the same time, we just can't overburden him. There's just so much to learn that I'm ready for this job.
Yeah, it's a lot. It's a lot to take in from now all the way through when we start training camp in July, especially with those restrictions like you mentioned. But Cam, you touched on the RPO situation. So let's say the Panthers do lean into this run-pass option. How does that change the way defenses will approach Bryce Young?
Yeah, I think defenses are going to have to adjust to that standpoint because he's going to be out and about in open field. There's not going to be different things that he's going to have to worry about, especially when it comes to protections. He knows he's going to have certain looks that he's going to go to immediately, and they're giving him limited options from that standpoint. Run, play action, and it's moving with whether you got a defensive lineman are going to be slowing down because they got to play the run. For me personally, I'm not worried about that. I'm going straight to the quarterback because I know he wants to make big plays.
Facts. Well, that's why everybody wants Ndamukong too on their side. Cam, I like that you mentioned too that you'd be surprised that folks told you they'd be surprised if he wasn't the starter. That doesn't mean it's a lock, though, but I know he's working hard to earn that, just like you mentioned. All right, meanwhile, Anthony Richardson is impressing his teammates.
Get a lot of motion, get a lot of pre-snap motion and on-snap motion, and some RPOs as well, so that he can get the ball to those playmakers, be the point guard that they drafted him to be.
So, Cam, I'm glad I'm going third in this discussion. Here's why. Because Josh McCown mentioned the CBA. There's restrictions on just how much you can do. It's not fair to young players, and Ndamukong Suh could care less about the restrictions. He's earned
no
that
doubt
right.
about
Young
that.
guys, they need time. They need time. Okay, then Ndamukong Suh mentioned chaos. Like the chaos hasn't hit Bryce Young yet. We don't know how he's going to handle it because it's going to happen. There's going to be frustration. There's going to be chaos. And then, you know, what Cam just mentioned is there's Thomas Brown comes from the Rams. You know, and Frank Reich has got his offense, and Josh McCown has his ideas. And we're going to all mold this offense in an offseason that's very restricted. Like, I am concerned about overloading him. Meanwhile, there's
In the quarterback room right now when